Hello and welcome back to the Easy Geek TV channel. In this video, we will go over a few things on how you can keep your system in good shape, sort of speaking, in good, or for the sake of it, monitoring the system health, if you wish, right? As we know, every computer system, at one time, things will go not in the proper direction. An update might break things apart. The hardware in it might go wrong. You know, these things have a sort of a finite time of working and serving our purposes. So to start off, we were going to start with to keep our system in good shape. We're going to start with the inbuilt tools that have been provided by the Linux Mint Mate, which is the distribution we are working through these videos. And we're going to start off with the simplest of them, which is the system monitor. You can find it by right-clicking in the three dots here at the bottom taskbar and open it, or you can just click at the start button, or you can even use the so-called Windows key or the magic key and open the menu and just type in system monitor. As you can see, it's on top. We're going to open that. And this is the simplest way you can sort of monitor your system, right? So let's say you are looking which programs are now active, which ones are open. For the sake of demonstration, I'm going to open a Firefox private window. And let's say that for some reason, this program, Firefox in our case, is misbehaving. Maybe you opened a lot of tabs or something, a glitch in the software, anything could happen, right? So I'm going to select that, right click, and select kill process. And before we do this, just keep in mind, right? Actually, I should have said this since the beginning, is that if you've got any open work done, I mean, if let's say Firefox is frozen and it's not responding, well, there's no other option than just to kill it, for example. But before you do anything, actually, let me finish this. Just gonna, as you can see, it did kill the Firefox process that I was in, which we faked as stuck in. So before you proceed, though, especially when it comes to, let's say you've opened a couple of documents and you're working with them, right? You do not want to do any changes in the system, like kill, for example, the Caja, which is the file browser here. You don't want to go through that before you even save your work. So as a rule of thumb, do save your work, and if something is stuck, find the program here and kill it, sort of speaking. That's not the best way to describe it, but yeah, you are forced to sometimes do it that way, right? Now, this video is not in any form or shape a substitute for a good backup practices, right? So do not sort of lean in these methods that are shown in the video. These are for like an overview. There's plenty of programs available, but this is like an overview. There's no substitute for good backup practices. I have to strongly emphasize that. Do keep backup of your important files. There's no other way around it. Now, in some cases, the system might be corrupted to a point where you have to reinstall it. But we're just going through the basics here, starting from the bare basics like the built-in systems. And I'm going to start here by opening the terminal. And again, the goal is to go through the GUI options if available to sort of to keep confusing at bay for beginners, right? But let's say you want to keep an eye through and again, we mentioned at the beginning of the video, you do have the option to use System Monitor, which is a sort of like the task manager in Windows. If you're fresh from the Windows to the Linux world, this is similar to that. I can actually show you resources and percentage of CPU usage and all of that, file systems, the usage and all that. Okay, with that out of the way. Now, usually when you come across a Linux user, they would use a couple of programs, let's say with Top. Now, Top is not like the fanciest looking app there, and it's actually a terminal based. With most terminal based programs, you can just hit Q key on your keyboard and it will shut down, right? Now we're going to clear that. You can do that by clear, or Control L for clearing the space. Now, a better option to look at this is to, let's say I'm going to install HTOP is the most used one in the Linux community. So I'm just going to give it my password. Right, so it will install it. And you will see why this is sort of like in a glance having a look at your system. We're going to go through other programs as well. And I don't know if I may split this video in 2 parts or just keep it all at once, because this might get a bit long and boring. Right, for some reason we are not able to do that. Let's try again. Maybe the server is not available. But in any case, it's good for it to show the problems, because you might come across. So I'm going to clear the space. Actually, hold on. I don't know if you can see it. We'll try to sort of increase the font size. I think that's a bit better. Right, so now we can type HTOP. And this is like the go-to tool for most Linux users, to be fair. Well, out of that, we're done with HTOP. This is like a very simple tool. Now let's go and try the GUI options that might be available. Go on onto your software manager here. If you cannot find it, just type software. Sorry, a mistake, typo there. Software. And you can see it's the second one, software manager. Now there are a couple of programs we're going to go through and install here. One of them being the CPU X. Yeah, it was actually the top one, really. So there, no, I'll say do stick with the flat hub. Unfortunately, they do take a lot of space, but if there's a program that doesn't take too much, or if there's a program, should I say, that you have no option other than flat hub, well, you might just as well install that. But as you can see here, we've got CPU X as a system package. We're just going to go install it, continue, and of course it will ask for the password. I'm just going to go and do that. Right, mistake on my part. Right, keep doing this mistake. Thanks. Right, now I can launch that immediately. And as you can see, this is a sort of like a short overview of the system. Unfortunately, you cannot resize this for some reason, and I'm not sure why. But it's actually a good, like quick look at the system resources, in fact, right? And there you have it, graphics, and so on and so forth. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this, so I'm going to go ahead and with the other programs. Other programs include NVTop, which is one you could probably install if you wish to. We're going to go and search that here. NVTop. There you have it. Now, I'm not sure if you like this, but do try them, and by all means keep only the ones you find useful to you, right? NVTop through the terminal. Well, there you have it. So it's installed, and now this is very basic, honestly, so might not be the best for you to work with. I'm going to close that. Next on the list is a BTOP++. This is another option that's quite good, actually. Although, again, it's a, what you call a terminal-based app. It's actually very, very nice to look at. And you can have, there you have it. Right, so it's a terminal-based one. That's BTOP. And you can honestly see that this is a nice looking one. So off with that. Let's get back to some more approachable GUI based ones. I'm going to close that. Back to the software manager. And what we need here, I'm going to go all the way back. let's search for hard info. There you go. A very helpful GUI based, like graphical user interface based program. Highly recommend to have this if you don't fancy the terminal based programs. You'll see this is very handy. And yeah, indeed, look at that. Everything you might need, a summary, and it's actually very fast, to be fair. Let's just do this full window. You got everything in here. Cool. So I hope this is this program is very helpful to you in everyday use. But without trying to prolong the video, let's see what the next app is on our list. Now there will be a nice way to keep sort of speaking an eye on the temperatures, right? So let's search for the most used programs. P-Sensor is like the best, although very basic looking, is one of the best to keep an eye on temperatures, especially if you live in a hot climate. You can actually leave it working here on the taskbar, notification area. Right, so let's just zoom in to that. As I can say, the user interface is not as fancy, but it is by all means very helpful. You can see temperatures, CPU and GPU in real time. Now, let's say you want to keep an eye on your storage devices, disks, right? Because that's the most important, to be fair. So let's just install GSmart Control. Again, some typos in there. There you have it, GSmart Control. Let's install that. Again, password needed. Right, another typo there. No worries. I'm trying to go through these apps as quickly as I can because I know it will take quite some time and I don't want to bother people trying to find information here. So let's go and open GSmart Control. Right, so let's search for it here. And again, we need to type in our password. Right, so there you have it. So this is actually the most used program in the Linux world, where you can check for problems and whatnot. If you go options, device, perform tests, here you can see the attributes, the condition that the storage medium, in this case, the one I've opened here is the SSD one. And you can execute self-tests. I'm not doing that here, although it's actually quite handy. And you'll see the results here. If there's any problems, then it's a warning for you to keep an eye on the storage mediums, like the hard disk or SSD or any. And make sure you've got the files out if something is not showing in the proper direction. So you get the idea. So do have a look at this. Now let's go in the RAM control side of things, because keeping an eye on the RAM sticks is very important for system stability. You might see glitches in the system and behavior and so on and so forth. So we do want to keep that under control, so sort of like keep an eye on it, right? To do that, a program that's highly recommended to use in this case is the memtest 86 Plus. As you can see, it is right there on top. Let's just install it. Of course, you can install it via the terminal as well, right? You can do that via the terminal. But we are not doing it through the terminal just now. So let's just install it. Again, I have to provide the password. And that's pretty much it. So let's just proceed ahead. Now, one important step that you might have to go through, let's just increase the size again of the terminal, so it's easy to see, is to sudo update grub the boot manager. Enter, give your password, and then there you have it. Now, to execute memtest, you have to restart the system, because that's the best way in the computing world, at least. That's the best way to test RAM while it's not being used for any other purposes. Because using RAM once you're booted into the system is not the most efficient way. So let's just try and do that now. Let's just close the terminal. I'm going to restart the system. And upon restarting, you have to press the Shift key on your keyboard for it to show up. Now, bear in mind that I've got the capture card here, which it does delay things quite a bit, but I'll do my best to sort of show it, and might probably have to cut through the video to show that. Let's just restart the system. So once the system restarts and you see the num key lighted, LED is being lit up, you can now press the Shift key, and hopefully we'll get memtest through the grub menu where we can select it. Sometimes just pressing escape will do as well. Yeah, it didn't work this time. What I will do, actually, I'll just stop the video here. I will try to give at least a screenshot of how it shows up in case it properly, like how it shows up and the system boot up. And again, due to the video capture card I use here, things are a bit messy, to be fair. So I'll try and capture a screenshot of that just for demonstration purposes. We'll restart recording once that is done. So finally managed to capture a screenshot of this. This is what you see if you either press escape once you see that the num key LED is lit up. This is what you see, right? If you press escape once, because if you press twice, there's a slightly different menu showing up. So this is what you see, and eventually you will just press enter here and do that, but we're not going to do that here now because it will take quite a long time, and it's actually suggested that you do this if you suspect your RAM is not properly working, and it will take a lot of time. So be prepared for that mentally. Let's go back to the system again. Now let's see what other programs you might have to use. Let's see. And this video is becoming a bit long, to be fair. So let me log into the system again. And again, you can find a lot of tools. Most of them are terminal based, like the command line one. So a honorable mention for this video, I would say, is the test disk command line based tool. I don't know if I mentioned early in the video, but this is very handy. I'm going to install that. Again, I have to provide the password for security purposes. Now this has been used through different operating systems, especially as far as I can recall, it's used on Mac OS, on Windows OS, and even on Linux. And my personal experience with it has been positive, to be fair. I've successfully used it in at least up to 10 cases, as I recall correctly. But unfortunately, this is only terminal based, and you cannot just press launch here and expect it to open, right? So I'm just going to open the terminal window again. I'm just going to try to increase the font size. There you have it. So and I apologize for this video taking a bit longer, but yeah, I'm trying to cover a lot of the most used, I should say, programs that have been used in the Linux community. So again, let's just see test disk. And again, you want to use sudo powers for this, but for the sake of demonstration, I'm just going to use this, right? So this is what you see. Exact same thing if you come from the Windows world, and you've seen this. I'm sure you've seen this if you ever had to use this. Now, I'll not do anything here because it will take a lot of time. I'm just going to press Q and exit from there. Yeah, as you can see, it does require sudo powers, but I'm not going to give that. Yeah, so a couple of things though for you to at least know, right? Let's just go back to the welcome screen. I think the Linux Mint community, if you come across problems, is the best way for you to find help if you cannot find it through a few, let's say, search engine searches online, like Google or your preferred search engine and so on and so forth. If you cannot find your solution there for some reason, and nowadays you can even use AI, but you have to be very, very careful of what you copy and use from there, because context is very important with AI. But let's just go back to what the Linux Mint community provides. And I'm just going to open so you can go through to there you have it. It seems like I've opened it previously. Never mind. So now the form might seem a bit outdated, but I can guarantee you that the community in general here is very helpful. So you might need to register, open an account, and before you ask for help there, and if you use Element, the matrix system, I'm just going to show this for demonstration purposes again. If you are into this stuff, matrix system, Element, and all that, but I'm not going to go through that here. I think that the web forums provided by the Linux community is the best way to find your help. Before you go there though, one way to help the other people who are trying to help you is to go through the log file view, right? So here is the events that have taken place in your local computer. Potential errors, problems, anything. You might be asking the community to provide some of these logs. And as you can see here, there are lots of, usually if there's a hardware error, this is where you find the messages. And again, they might ask you to use the terminal as well, right? Because this is the best debugging tool, or like troubleshooting tool if you wish. So yeah, I think that we've covered the bare basics, a general overview, and you can go on and do your own research by all means. But again, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, the best way for you to be safe and to know that, have peace of mind at least, is that to keep regular backups. Have a good routine when it comes to backups. There's no substitute for that, no matter what you try. And eventually at one point, the system might become corrupted because of changes and updates gone wrong. It might become so corrupted you might as well just have to reinstall the system again, right? It might not be worth trying to fix stuff that just a waste of time, really. So in that case, a fresh reinstall of the system is the best way. And actually, if for some reason the system doesn't boot and there's not a hardware problem but a software problem, you can use the USB live thumb drive that you used when you first installed the system. This is pretty much same for most Linux distros. You can use that to recover files. Of course, you have to have a external way of backupping, of copying these files, like a USB external hard disk drive or anything like that. So I think that pretty much sums up whatever, like the more basics you could do yourself with the system if you are like a fresh beginner when it comes to the Linux world. And I really apologize for this video taking so long, but at least I'm trying to give you an overview and of what you can come across and what to know and so on and so forth. So hopefully this video was even of a little help to you. If so, if that's the case, really, do you like the video, subscribe and share it. Thank you for taking the time to watch it, and hopefully this is very handy to you. Bye for now.